In the next 20 minutes, I'm going to show you how to understand the volumetrics effects inside Octane Render. Sit down, relax, and enjoy. Okay, so here we are inside Blender Octane Edition version 4.0.2. So let's go to File and let's create a new Octane default startup. I'm going to create a really basic project just to show you the ways that you can use for creating volumetrics effects inside Octane Render. And let's go first and change our direct lighting kernel to the best tracing kernel. This is important because direct lighting kernel won't work with volumetric effects. So actually with realistic volumetric effects. So let's bring the sampling to 200 and the GI to something like 20. And we're good with this. And let's go to our world and let's put the power of this on 0. And let's create a new object. Let's create a monkey. And let's add a subdivision surface with 3 levels. And let's apply the modifier and smooth the surface and bring this up, and let's create a plane. And let's turn all of this off. And let's go to our render view. So everything will be black since we don't have any light. So I'm going to create a new area light. And actually, I'm going to create a new Octane area light and move this up. And let's put this white color and put the power on something like 10. So let's go to our world, and if you want to create the volumetric effects from this light, you just need to add a medium, Octane medium, and let's add a volume medium and put the scattering on white and the distortion on white, and bring this down to something like 0.1. But actually these values depends on the scale of the scene, and at some point you might maybe add a value of 0.01 or even lower. So for this scene we will keep it on 0.1. So we actually still can't see any volumetric effect, and this is because of the median radius, which will be the key value for all of this. So the median radius is basically, you must think on this about like some kind of dome on the scene covering all of this. So this will be measured in meters. Okay, so if we increase the dome size to something like 20, you will see that we got this volumetric already working on. So maybe we shall need to reduce the density to something like 0.01 just to reduce the fire. And here we are. We can actually change the color of the absorption. I'm gonna leave this on white, and the color of the scattering. Here, I'm gonna leave this white also. And I'm gonna add a face node. And what this does is that if we increase the value, we will concentrate the volume on the light source, okay? So I'm gonna leave this on 0.7 maybe. And something that you might have in account is that if we increase the size of the light, the shadows of the volumetrics becomes smoother. So if we decrease the size of this and maybe increase the power, something like this, and maybe I'm gonna turn this off. You will see that we got here some volumetric shadows. Actually, let me reduce the size of this even more. Let's go to the world. I'll maybe play with the face. Okay, so we can actually see the shadows here of the light. Okay, can't see this here. And if we actually change the color of the light, you will see that the color of the fog and the volume changed. Another thing that it should be useful to you is that we can turn off the volume effect on this light. So for example, if I duplicate this, maybe put this here. And for example, we want to have volume effect coming from here, but not from here. We can simply just turn on or off the visible on scattering volumes here on the texture emission node. This also works for the black body emission node. If we connect these here, will be the same principle. Just turn off the visible on scattering volumes. Or for example, if we just want, let me delete this. If we just want the volume effect, let's actually turn the diffuse and specular off. And you will see that we will keep only the volume effect without affecting this object, which is really cool. But in this particular case, I'm not liking the effect. So let's try to have volumetric light in another way. Let's create here something that in Octane is called the Analytical light. Put this here. Let's go to the render view. Let's go to the world and delete this. Actually, just unplug this. And let's go to our Analytical light. Let's go to the object. And make sure that you got turned on the use in post volume. Now, the key to achieving the volumetric effect is going to the Octane post process. Actually, let's bring the bloom and glare down because we don't want this. And let's activate the light beam. And let's increase again the key value, the medium radius to something like 20. Okay, here we got our volumetric effect, and maybe bring down the medium density here, something like this. Okay, we got it. And let's increase radius to something like 30. And we can play with the spread angle here. Let's turn on the plane with the spread angle here. Maybe you want to open this. And the cutoff hardness also, if you want to further or to have hard edges here on this radius. And let's put this white on a power of 20. And I'm going to turn on my Octane imager preview, and let's turn on ACES tone mapping. Just to work with real colors and well, not real colors, just have a better management of the color here. And actually, if we bring here a texture, connect this here. If we connect this texture to the texture, you will see that we got this really cool volumetric effect. Let's actually increase this to something like 200. And we got here this really cool rays that we can actually change. For example, if we add a projection node here, we can play with the size of this. If we increase the size of the texture, we can have a different result. Now the good thing is that this is also affecting the object here. So if we move this further away, let's change this to local. This here. And then maybe you might go to your light and maybe play with the fall loss radius. Let me go here to the post-processing effects and maybe play with this. Put this on something like 0.1. And let's play with the radius. Or maybe increase the power of this light to something like 2000. And okay, I think this is looking pretty good. If we turn this off, you will see that the light beam effect disappear. Okay, and we also can turn off the visible diffuse and specular, just in case you just want to have to isolate this volumetric effect. And the good thing is that we got also some really cool volumetric shadows. Okay, I have to mention that this is a fake effect, so the difference between this and using the volume medium in the world is that this is a real volumetric effect, and this is just like some kind of actually like a post-processing effect. Okay, so right now we're going to move to real projects to see how we can use these effects in our work. Okay, so here we are with this city project that I have done in Blender inside Octane Render, and I'm going to show you how you can create fog here using the volume medium or the fog in the post-processing tab. So let's go first with the volume medium. So right here we got this really big scene using the daylight environment for our light source. Basically, it's a sunlight. So you can see here these really sharp shadows. But if I plug this medium here, let's see first the values here. We got the density in 0.001 because this is a really big scene, so we don't want to have too much fog here. And we got this scattering direction here on 0.9 just to concentrate the light on the sun. Okay, so if we plug this here, this volume medium on the medium, you will see that we got this really subtle fog effect. And the cool thing is that this is affecting the light of the sun. So we can see how the light start to scatter along all the world. So for example, if we switch here to our volume pass, you will see that we got this the fog effect here. So this is looking a bit noisy because we're working with 50 samples here. So for example, if we bring this down to something like 0.5, which is the default value, you will see that we got this really strong fog here. And if we go to the denoiser beauty, you will see that we got a lot of fog in the city. So in this case, I'm going to use this on 0.9, and I'm honestly happy with this result. So I'm going to unplug this here, and let's move to our camera, and let's try another fog method, which is the Octane post-processing. So if we go here and we activate the fog, nothing happens. And this is because of the medium radius, but in this case, the medium radius here. So if you remember, I told you that this is the key value for creating fog and volumetric effects. So right now I'm gonna use the same value here, 1500. And let's bring the fog extinction distance down to 0. And you will see that we got this weird fog effect. So let's see how we can improve this. Right here we got the fog base level, which is basically the ground of the fog. And we got here the density height. So if we move this down, for example, you will see that the ground start to move down. But if you bring this positive, you will see how the ground start to move up. And if we move the height here, you will see how the fog starts to move up. Now, if we want to further this or to smooth this, we just need to make here maybe in the fog extinction distance of this to something like 100, put this on 0, and maybe bring the density height up. Okay? And you will see how we got this fog effect here, maybe with a bigger extinction distance like 500 and or maybe 400. I'm not sure. I think this is looking really cool. And we got here also the base fog color. If we put here a color, for example, a crazy color like green, you will see that nothing happens. And that's because of the fog environment contribution. To understand this, I'm going to explain this really simple. In some way, Octane Render calculates the scene color and put this like this brown color to the fog. But for example, if you want to change the color of your fog, you just need to add a color here and bring this down, and you will see how we start to have a tint effect on the fog. Okay, so for example, if we want to have like a subtle blue tint here, let's move this to the blue, and we bring this down, you will see how we start to have a blue tint on the fog. Maybe move this here, bring this up, and maybe reduce the saturation a bit. And okay, I think this is looking way better. One thing is that, as I mentioned before, this is just a post-processing effect, so this is not affecting any light source. Here we got this scene that I am working in Blender. This is still far from being complete, but I wanted to show you how did I achieve the volumetric effect inside Octane Render. So in this case, I got a frame rendered, and if we go here to the noise at volume, you will see that we got these really cool God rays entering from the window. Actually, you can see these really subtle on the beauty pass. And if we go here to our world, you will see that we got here, we're using the daylight environment again. And we're using also a bunch of lights here. We're using this one area light and 2 directional lights. All of these lights with the scattering volume activated, and the radius on 20. And we are using the scattering node, and I was actually comparing the volume, medium, and the scattering, and I just couldn't see any difference. So I actually, in this particular case, I think that using this or this one will be the same. But anyway, right here, my settings are 0.2 in the density and absorption and scattering on white. And here you can see the actual result. Okay, and finally, I wanted to show you also this project, a personal project that I worked on. And we're using again the daylight environment in Octane mode. Octane daylight mode, and we're using a medium radius of 100 and a density of 0.001. Okay, And I'm gonna come here and show you the final result. This is the volumetric light path, actually volume path, which is the right name. And if I hit play, you will see here the final result. We got here these really cool volumetric lights passing throughout the trees. Okay, so this is the clay render, and here's some of the render passes. Here the volume pass and the final result.